After about 20 more hours of gameplay, I have finally achieved both nuclear and plutonium power in production. From this time, I have learned what seems to be the best new way to dispose of nuclear waste using the awesome new tools from Update 4. Let's start where Update 2 left off, with nuclear waste. Find a good plot of land to place a plutonium factory that's a good distance away from your nuclear factory and your nuclear waste storage. If you try to do all of this at your nuclear factory, it may be easier, but it will have you burning through your filters very quickly due to the high radiation concentration. Now create a drone port at your nuclear waste storage location and link it to one at your new plutonium factory. Once the nuclear waste begins transporting, you should gather the rest of the materials you need to create non-fissile uranium. Nitric acid is going to be the trickiest because it involves setting up another blender and routing water, nitrogen gas, and iron plates into it to create the new fluid. I created a liquid packaging system at home and I shipped all the liquids and gas I needed from home in a container to my facility using unique drone ports for each part. You should not share any drone routes with your nuclear waste port, as it could end up with some drones picking up nuclear waste and bringing it back to a drone port in your factory. I would also recommend that you create a dedicated iron plate production system at your main base and route that into a dedicated drone port at the plutonium plant. This will ensure that you do not drain your main base of crucial materials and throw off your entire production system at your hub. The only thing I did not package up was water. I would recommend getting this from a nearby deep water, as it will be much more consistent. Once you've created the nitric acid, bring the other materials from your base using a drone and you can now make the non-fissile uranium. Non-fissile uranium does create water as a byproduct, so you may want to take multiple industrial fluid buffers and route this back into your nitric acid creation, so it is doing something. Now it's time to bring out the beautiful new particle accelerator to turn this non-fissile uranium into plutonium pellets. The recipe for this only requires the new non-fissile uranium you just collected and more uranium waste. Now, create several assemblers and route the new plutonium pellets in along with concrete to make plutonium cells. I made a dedicated concrete production system for this because limestone was close and I was too lazy to go back to base to do the same thing. Once you've created plutonium cells, you can choose to make the rods here or at your nuclear power plant. I've decided to make the rods at my nuclear factory because it requires several new components that would have taken me several more hours to set up in this factory. So I've created another drone port for plutonium cells and transported them back to my nuclear power plant. Here you will set up one or many manufacturers and get the following components to create a plutonium fuel rod. Make sure you have ample production of the electromagnetic control rods so you don't create a shortage in your nuclear production plant. Do the same with heat sinks as well. Once you've begun production of the plutonium fuel rods, you can choose to use them for power production or for pure waste disposal purposes. The best way to get rid of nuclear waste is to set up an awesome sink and lead the plutonium fuel rods into it. These are the only part of the plutonium creation process that can be put into the sink and will net you a whopping 129,620 points per rod. If you need the power, you can create more nuclear power plants and use your new plutonium fuel rods as fuel. One thing you should know is this will end up making more waste, only this time it will be plutonium waste. There's much less of it, but it is far more radioactive. Although I could have just used a sink, why not achieve unlimited power, so I created more power and more plutonium waste. Then I created a tall facility over the ocean that goes very high and has a train transport system that stores all the plutonium waste far away from anywhere I ever go. For good measure, I added a ton of green lights to build the ambiance. And yes, drones would have been a much more efficient option for this, but a train coil just looks cool to me. Leave a like if this video helped you. Thanks for watching.